All right. It is now 7 o'clock. This is June 6, 7 p.m. Calling the City of Missouri City Parks Board meeting to order. Glad to see that everyone's here and not bitten up by mosquitoes and all that kind of good stuff. There you go. I'm going to go down and do the roll call. Going down the list. I like going down the list. Laren Sterner here. Brian Merchant.
Here.
Karen Overington.
Here.
Thomasine Johnson.
Here.
Pam
I'm
Andrews.
here.
Mary Ross, she's not here. She did send me an email that she wouldn't be here today. Kamisha, she's here. Susan?
Here.
Susan?
You want to say here, right?
Yeah, thank you. Susan is not here. She may be coming in later. Miss Giltner?
Here.
Miss Dacey?
Here.
Thank you. Bruce? Thank you. Buddy?
Present.
Thank you. And Tanner Williams is not going to be here as well. All right. Item number 3, consider approval of meeting minutes. You should have gotten an email that had those meetings minutes in there, and they're also attached. Are there any corrections, modifications that anyone feel is necessary? And if not, I will entertain a motion to approve the May meeting minutes.
I move to approve the minutes.
I have a motion, second by Diane. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Item number 4, public comments. Do we have anyone here from the public that would like to speak? Please come before us. Not seeing anyone, we'll move on over to item number 5. Item 5 are items not requiring action. Item A, introduce the new seniors adaptive recreational specialist, Miss Nicole.
I'm Allison. Hi.
Hi,
Allison Vickery. Recreation manager. And I was going to introduce Nicole McGee.
All right.
She is our new recreation specialist, overseeing both of our senior programs as well as our adapted recreation programs. She's coming to us previously working at the Vern Cox Center, which is in Pasadena. It's part of their Pasadena Parks and Recreation department that is specifically for adapted recreation. So she has extensive experience in that. We're very excited to have her. She has a lot of new program ideas. She also has worked with senior adults as well. But we're excited to have her on board. And then,
Welcome.
Would you like to come up and introduce yourself and have a word? We'd love to have you up here.
Hello, everyone. Hi,
Hi.
I'm Nicole McGee. Thank you all for having me here today. Lovely to meet you all. And I'm excited to be working with Missouri City.
We're glad to have you.
Well, we're glad to have you here, and we look forward to a great working relationship. I'm sure Buddy has something to say because I just saw it.
I was gonna. Where are you from?
Pasadena.
Oh, okay.
And my question, are you working out of the Tennis and Rec Center and the Landmark? Where
The
you,
community center.
oh, just, okay.
Oh, you're in the community, okay.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions? Welcome aboard. Glad to have you.
Thank you so much.
All right. All right. We're going to introduce the new fitness and athletics recreational specialist, Mr. Javier.
it's me again. I'm not Javier. I'm filling in for Roderick Ferguson, who is his manager. Javier has actually been with the department for about 5 years. He started out as a recreation attendant at the front desk, part-time attendant, worked his way up to a full-time attendant most recently, and then as of, when was that, March? April, was promoted again to our recreation specialist overseeing our fitness and athletics programs.
All right.
Right.
All right.
Come on up and introduce yourself. Come on down. Come on. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Well, Javier, thank you. We look forward to working with you. Please, have a word. Speak.
My name's Javier. I've met a good amount of you at the rec. Like I I said, I've been there 5 years. I'm really excited on what I could possibly bring to the rec center. Yeah, that's about it.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm going to give Javier kudos because I had told him that there were some openings in the city, and he took the initiative to go in and apply, got hired. So thank you for following through.
Very good. All right. Item number 6, items requiring action. Item A, Western Ridge Estates Parkland dedication. This will be presented by our interim director, Danielle.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Good evening.
Good. So this is a parkland dedication that is off of Darby Lane. And it's one of our smaller parkland dedications. They are basically just taking one lot and splitting it into 2. So they are proposing a cash in lieu of fee of $2,800 because it will just be a two-home development. Fairly standard. In your packets, you do have the site map as well as the letter from the developer that shows kind of where this development will be, as well as the lot sizes. They are fairly large, so the residents will have their own space. And then we also included a map, which is the distance to the closest park. This is another HOA park, but it is open to the public, not residents only. So they could go over there, and they're also fairly close to Kitty Hollow Park. Adam, our park planner, couldn't be here tonight, but he did prepare this for us. And his recommendation is to approve based on it being 2 homes. It's one of those tricky ones that, it's $2,800 doesn't do us too much good in a park zone fund, but also developing a park is almost impossible for just a plot of 2 residential homes. So if you have any other specific questions, and sorry, I forgot we did include the park zone information. This is in Park Zone 12. Important to note that we don't have any public parks through the city in Zone 12, but we are working with our economic development team as well as our public works teams to identify some of that land for a potential, it'll be a couple years, but potential acquisition because the funds in that account are growing. So if you have any questions, happy to answer them.
All right. I will tell you that I looked at it as well. We've had this to come up a couple of times where someone divides a lot into 2. And again, as she stated earlier, these are large acreage tracts. These lots out in New Point Estates are anywhere from 5 acres to 10, 15 acres. Typically, just as a refresher for new board members, we make a recommendation. That recommendation from the Parks Board goes to Planning and Zoning Commission. Planning and Zoning Commission will take our notes and our recommendation, give it consideration, and they'll take action. After they've taken their action, they'll forward a recommendation to City Council, and City Council is where it stops. So I'll entertain any questions as it relates to this parkland dedication. This is about as easy as you'll get right here. If there's no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we recommend accepting the $2,800 in lieu of parkland or plotting of the 2.
We got a motion by Pam, second by Thomasine. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Item number 7, staff reports. Paul Bunyan.
Hello, guys. It's been a long time. I think Danielle wants to torture you guys a little bit tonight, so she asked me to come up here. I'm Paul. I'm the city forester. I've met most of you. There's a couple of you that I have yet to introduce, but horticulturalist, city forester. Been here about 16, maybe pushing 17 years now, so I am the old dog. But I was just going to give you guys a quick, very non-technical, hopefully entertaining little update on some of the forestry highlights we've had in the last year or so. Let's see. There's our team over there. There's 5 of us, soon to be 6, hopefully next month. And we'll go over some of the areas of responsibility. But the one thing I want you guys to note out of that picture there is that little whiteboard in the back, kind of hard to see. but it says, things change, stay flexible. And that's kind of like my division's mantra, because as you guys know here in Missouri City last decade or so, so much changeover in city leadership, so much changeover in our climate. We went through, a natural disaster maybe every 3-4 years to now you're almost guaranteed to have either the 100-year flood, drought, or freeze, probably a combination of the two. So it's been getting very difficult to consistently manage things. We've had to constantly adapt to all these political and environmental changes. But just a brief overview on some of our management areas. We have been tasked with taking care of and enhancing a lot of our main thoroughfares as far as right-of-way. This was a council priority set probably 3 or 4 years ago, kind of sparked from that whole Texas Parkway, Cartwright Road rejuvenation, the corridor rejuvenation. So we've partnered with a lot of different agencies. We put a lot of investment into those flower beds and grass areas, tree areas along Texas Parkway, Cartwright. We handle places like South Gessner, or a lot of the Hunters Glen neighborhood medians over there as well. So in total, our division in the city basically will take care of about 9 strategic roadways throughout the city. It stretches out about 10 miles, and within that, there's about 37 flower beds that we do consistently maintain. Most of the other right-of-ways throughout the city are maintained by the HOAs, or in some cases, it's the individual homeowners. Those deals are agreed upon when those developments come in. Another area is our facilities, all the city buildings, basically. We have 12 of them throughout the city. Can you scroll down a little bit, Stacy, so they can see some of that? The other way. Oh, up? Yeah, up. There you go. So, again, we're trying to get a little creative with things, trying some new things. You probably spotted we've got a lot more rock going on throughout the city. So, in my mind, one of the big battles we're going to have in our lifetime is the water wars. All right? Over half of what the U.S. uses in fresh water is for landscape irrigation. That can't last forever. Population's growing. Housing developments keep on coming up. I think the big extravagant flower beds that you see in front of like the siennas, the river stones, that's going to be phasing out over time because we just basically can't use that much water anymore. And those are very water-thirsty things. So the xeriscaping is what we're pushing for as a department. I think we're trying to get a little bit ahead of the national trend on that one. And it seems to be working for a lot of these climate changes that we're having as well, the freezes, the extreme droughts, even some of these new insect attacks that we're getting. So you can see some examples here. Around the city buildings is one of our priority areas for incorporating some of this xeriscape, this rockscape, into our normal landscaping. And you'll see what we did on that bottom picture there. That's the entrance to City Hall. We have a little bit of strict xeriscaping next to the marquee. Then we created what's called a butterfly pathway. All those plants that you see on either side of the sidewalk are attracting to butterflies. So if you walk down there like this time of year, you're guaranteed to see a butterfly. No, I'm not going to call it art. We're going to call it landscape enhancements.
I love it.
That include colorful things.
Way to
All
go.
right, so we're trying to add a little bit of that and just give some of these landscapes some personality. Again, it's non-living organisms that we're putting in there, rocks. We're putting in some other metal sculptures, things like that has this color that people want, city council still wants to push for, but we don't have to replace it every time it freezes, hopefully. Yeah. And then stuff like you see up over there on the top left there, a little creative rockscape we got over by the library there with the trouble spot. Here's a couple of the fire stations. We take care of all the landscaping around the fire stations. We just finished number 6, which is that new one in Lake Olympia that also houses most of the administration. Redid all the flower beds from the original design. What's cool about that one on the left there is it kind of looks like a little campfire, right? Well, if you go there at night, we actually put some solar lights on there, and so it looks like a fire. That's kind of neat. So we're trying to get creative with these things and do some low-budget innovation, we'll call it. Some more fire stations over here. We have on the top left, number 3. Top right is number 3. That's off of Texas Parkway. The bottom one there is number 2 up in the Fondren Park area. A lot of these landscapes they were either declining or they were basically vacant when we came in here about 15 years ago. So This is our attempt to redo them and class them up a bit. Other areas, obviously, the public safety headquarters, several flower beds and things around the building there. On the right there, you see the tennis center. This is all native perennial stuff. So we don't do annual change-outs, anything like that. We try to stick to natives whenever possible, at least North American natives. We try to do perennial flowering things in combination with maybe ground cover things to give it seasonal interest. Just people have to understand with these landscapes, you're not going to get the pop every time all year long. And it costs a lot of money to get that pop. If you guys pay your HOA dues, you know this. So what we try to do is add some combinations. So it'll give you some interest at any time of year to look at as you're coming into these facilities. And they last better with all these environmental pressures that we have. We have 31 main developed park locations that we have, flower beds, arboretums, things like that we do routine maintenance on. It could be anything from just going through and doing tree trimming every couple of years or maintaining certain flower beds, things like that. Another 18 or so additional green spaces. They could be as simple as just grass and tree areas, like drainage easements, riparian areas, things like that. We might not necessarily get to those every 2 or 3 years. It could be every 5 years, depending on what comes our way, really. But here's a picture over here, American Legion Park, over near Brightwater. I wanted to show this one because it's kind of cool. This was the first time we actually were given the opportunity, instead of, while that park was being redeveloped, having the contractor do it, having a landscape architect put all the plants together, and then we watch them die over the next 2 years. Jason at the time said, "It's yours. Do it. Go for it." So this is what we did, and I think it's kind of one of our best ones. And it took about 3 years to really get going because, again, we're using native perennials. We're using stuff that doesn't give you instant pop. But I don't know. You look at that now, and it's kind of popping. And that's where we're kind of heading as a department, as a division. Some of our other parks here, we did a lot of work at Buffalo Run. Selfishly, it's one of my favorite parks because it's kind of a nature park. But we just redid the beds in the front by the marquee sign. Over by the first playground and Old Horseshoe Pit, you can see we just put in another multi-tier garden over there. And then one of my staff is also kind of a locally famous artist, and he redid this little chimney swift tower that you see on the bottom there. That's basically a nesting house that a Boy Scout built about 10 years ago to attract chimney swifts. I never once seen a chimney swift actually go into the tower, but the tower was built really well. So it's like, okay, let's do a non-art piece over here and spruce it up a little bit. And again, it's got some solar lights on top. So check that out when you're driving by at night. Other things that my crew does is probably 2 or 3 times a year we'll work with either a scout group or, in this case, it was an adult sorority, the AKA sorority at the top left. We did a tree planting of about 40 trees over at that new property in Fondren Park. On the right there was the Youth in Philanthropy program with help of Missouri City Green. We had about, I want to say 20 or 30 kids come out to that. They planted about 90 trees at Community Park.
Yes, they did.
And they also did like a little seed ball toss into some of the kind of the back area there. We wrapped up phase 3 of the Right Tree, Right Place Trail in partnership with Centerpoint Energy over at Ridgeview Park, and it replaced some of the trees that we lost in the drought last year, as well as added a new grove between the park and that little shopping center where the donut shop is. So, again, we try to work with volunteers as much as possible because it's fun, but also, we get something out of it. We get the trees out of it or whatever we happen to build on these projects. We have some of our ongoing things. Edible Earth Fest is my division's marquee event. We usually hold it in the springtime. It's been March the last couple of years, and it just keeps steadily growing. If you haven't been to this event, I encourage you to go next year if you can. It's cool because it's not your traditional city event where it's us as staff trying to put together what we think is going to be entertaining for y'all. It's basically volunteers putting together this event, and we're just kind of putting the logistics together. So it's really neat. It's kind of an organic event, so to speak, and it's all nature-based. Anything about recycling, composting, beneficial insects, native plants, tons of stuff to give away. It would not be possible to do this without Missouri City Green, Master Gardeners, Master Naturalists. They're a huge part of that. We have our Memorial Tree and Bench program. That's been ongoing now for about, boy, pushing about 13 or 14 years. So a lot of the younger trees that you see in the parks are a result of this program, not tax dollars, besides my cost and my guys' cost to take care of the stuff. But we have done quite a few of those and continue to do the tree and bench program. So if you know anybody or if you're talking with folks as a park board member and they have a deceased family member, friend, something like that, this is a really nice way to memorialize them. They get the tree in the ground. I always invite that group to come on planting day if they want to do prayers, ceremonies, whatever basically they want to do. We like to encourage that. So it's a really neat little program, a heartwarming program.
Oh, good.
Oh,
All right, so what you guys
very
really,
good.
What you guys
Thank
really
you.
came here to hear about is, all right, what's all the damn webs doing on my trees? All right. So all the experts are saying at this point that it's actually a couple different species of fall webworms. All right, there's these little caterpillars. They're not even an inch long. They've always been around. Okay, but for some reason, don't ask me why, this year they just went crazy. And they're continuing to go crazy at a pace that I have never seen before. They're attacking trees that I've never seen them attack before. And they'll basically defoliate a mature tree in about 2 to 3 days. So the good news is based on the past, even if they defoliate the entire tree, usually they'll just move on to some other food source, and then that tree will start bouncing back. Then they'll come back in the fall, and they'll try to hit it again. And they're going to do that again this year. They'll slow down probably in the summer, and then in the fall they're going to be back. But we'll see how these trees react, because this is an outbreak like we've never seen before. We're following up a drought and a freeze within a 12-month period. And in combination with this, it's like ringing the dinner bell for any other insects and disease to come in and finish the job with these trees. So what we're doing as a parks department is, since we're limited on what we could do, we can't spray them all, certainly. We are focusing on the high-impact areas, so those right-of-ways, we hit those first. Now we're currently working on the facilities, trying to stay on top of all the trees around there. And then if we can get caught up with that, we'll start working into the parks, prioritizing stuff like memorial trees, younger trees that are not yet established and particularly susceptible, and then go from there. Basically anything above 10 feet, we can't even access it with our equipment, so it's like, good luck. But if this is a problem for you at your home, and I guarantee every one of you has them in your yard right now, as a parks department, we're using bifenthrin-based products. That's the active ingredient. There's a ton of different trade names for it. The product we use is called Crosscheck, and you can only buy it in bulk, so you guys as homeowners wouldn't probably be able to buy that same product without a license. But I put a couple examples up there on your screen of some of the stuff you'd probably see at Home Depot or Lowe's. The key there is that bifenthrin. No matter what the trade name is, if you look for that active ingredient on the label, that seems to be very effective with these things. I've heard all kinds of other techniques used. That's certainly not the only insecticide active ingredient that will work on them, but that's what we've been using, and we've been getting very good control with that. So if it's really bothering you, the best thing to do is, if it's a new outbreak, get out there with a stick, a rake, whatever you can get, poke those webs, open up, because that's their shield, that's their defense. Get in there with that product, and then just douse it, spray it up. It's a twofold thing. Either the chemical's going to hit it and kill them almost instantly, or once you break up those webs, all those little anole lizards can get in there, the birds can get in there, and they'll just have a feeding frenzy on those caterpillars. It's not going to kill them completely, but it will slow them down significantly and probably save the look of your tree, at
I had a
least
question for you.
for the next
Before
couple
you
of
leave
months.
that one right there. They don't attack fruit trees, though.
They're indiscriminate at this point, it seems to be.
Okay.
The traditional stuff that I've always seen them hit first is mulberries, dogwoods, pecans. They seem to really like the bigger, real fleshy, soft leaves. That's traditionally what they've done. And that's what they started with this year. But they ate all that stuff within like 2 weeks. So now they're spreading to things like oak trees and things that I've never seen them affect before. I have not seen them hit live oaks or crepe myrtles yet, which is still our two most common trees. They are starting to hit elms, which is probably our third most common tree. I think it's just a matter of time. They're just running out of food. They're just hopping from tree to tree, just going crazy. So I don't know how to answer that. I think they are going to hit fruit trees. Yeah, I know on the Edible Arbor Trail they've already had. They've taken care of our persimmons and things like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're going to go after fruit trees as well.
Wow.
It's an outbreak like I've never seen. Another one you guys want to look out. Can you scroll up a little bit there, Stace? Thank you. This one's been hitting us for a couple years. It keeps getting worse every year. Crepe myrtle bark scale. Say that 4 times real fast. This kind of moved down from the north part of the country. If you have a crepe myrtle tree that looks like this, real black trunk, kind of like somebody just got a lot of oil or something on the trunk. And if you look closely at the twigs right below the leaves, you'll see all these little white dots. That's that bark scale. It's another one of those critters that hit us hard and fast. Scales are notoriously difficult to control. Basically, we're only trying to control on the ones around City Hall, and it's a 3-chemical, 3 application per year process, and it still doesn't kill them all. It just slows them down. So I don't know where this is going in the long term. I think we're going to have to start phasing out crepe myrtles, or we're going to have to start waiting until science catches up and finds varieties of crepe myrtles that are more resistant to these. But this is part of our home now, guys, so get used to it. If you don't like the look of that, the best thing that you can do is in the winter months, get out your pressure washer, try to clean off all that black stuff. It's basically the scale poop that's on there. That's the black stuff. And then you can try doing some chemical treatments in the late winter up until about this time of year is when you do your 3rd treatment. And that's just going to slow them down, guys.
What type of chemical?
All right, so we use 3 different chemicals. In the winter, I use horticulture oil. We'll do the pressure washing, and then I'll apply the horticulture oil. And that'll kill any leftover eggs and adults that might be lingering on that tree, any early hatchlings. Then usually about March, I'm going to follow up, and I use a bifenthrin product, and I use that as a spray. It's the same thing that I'm recommending for the worms in this case. And then once all the leaves are out, then I come with a systemic product that's it's basically a imidacloprid. It's the same active ingredient as you see in like off, the bug spray off. And that's actually taken in through the root system, and then it kills the bugs as they're feeding off of the leaves and on these young twigs. And it's that 1, 2, 3 punch. You got to use different chemicals. You got to apply them basically 3 months in a row in the late winter, early spring to slow them down, not to eliminate them, to slow them down. There's nothing in the market right now that's 100% effective on these guys. So if you love crepe myrtles, I'm sorry. It's going to be a tough year. That was just a brief overview, guys, little hot topics. If you have any questions, some brief questions I can answer now. Otherwise, you have my email up there, and we can communicate via email, or you can give me a call, and we can talk in depth about your stuff. I can't come to your house and do any tree diagnostics. People ask that all the time, but I can do a lot over the phone, and also if you send me really high-quality pictures, I can do a lot of diagnostics if you have some issues with your landscape that way. All right? Any quick questions now, buddy?
I think oh, I'm sorry.
There's a charge, too. Let me just start off. I'm his agent.
Everything looks amazing with as few people as you have on your staff. I think it's pretty amazing.
It
how much
is.
you've
Yeah.
covered.
It truly is amazing.
You're like a magician. Is there any way to get this? Yes. Is there any way for Stacy to send this to us? Or like this PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have a question, buddy?
I need some personal help. My lawn and all my plants have recently been attacked by little inch and a half white caterpillars.
Yeah, that's that fall
the
webworm. That's the fall webworm, yeah.
Yeah.
So it is a webworm, but I never see any webs. Right? I don't understand.
You're going to see them in a few days.
Yes, you are.
Guarantee
Yes,
it.
you are.
Yeah. Coming. Yeah, the 2 species that I've seen, I mean, they're really close in family from what I can tell, but there's one that's more kind of a whitish furry, and then there's another one that's a little bit more beige white and has some speckles and lines on it.
One with green, kind of
I don't know their exact species name, and I've been trying to get more information out of Texas A&M. They just keep saying it's fall webworms, different ones.
Echo what Diane said. You guys have done a great job.
Oh, yeah.
The city looks fantastic.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Haven't seen?
I have a suggestion on the rockscaping. This is just a suggestion. You could look for some recycled items to put in, because they have a lot of recycled items with color that you can add, to the scaping.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And actually, in some of them we did that. Yeah.
Some brownie points on using recycled items.
Absolutely. We've tried to do that. We actually have done that. Like some of the poles and things that we've used to mount our little butterflies and little decorative stuff. It's like recycled scrap metal. Some of the boulders and things we've used were from other projects like leftover construction material. And we've just been reusing them in more of a decorative landscape. So, but definitely, yeah, we try to reuse all of the materials that we use as much as possible.
No, I'm talking about you can actually purchase recycled items.
Okay.
It's pretty
Yeah.
cheap.
Yeah,
You know.
definitely.
You know, kind of like that little stuff you put in the playpens.
And play
Not the playpens.
I'm far removed. I don't want to go back.
You know the rubber type stuff.
Like mulch and things.
Oh,
from
I know.
playground.
Okay,
like-
yeah.
It's not a mulch, but it is.
It's like
Yeah,
a,
playground.
It's like the shredded tires. Is that what you mean?
it's like rubber. It's like
Anything.
Like a used tire.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We stay flexible. We're always up for new ideas,
I'll
and
look
whenever it makes sense to do it, we do it. Yeah.
Ms. Overson?
I have one question. The chemical that's for the webworms, is that pet friendly? Do you know?
Oh, that's a good question. I can't answer that one. You have to read individual labels because
I
it all
know the
depends
home
on
one didn't.
it all depends on the rate that you use. What other chemicals might be in combination with that? Like the stuff we buy is in bulk, so we just mix it with water. But stuff you might buy from Home Depot might have the same active ingredient, but it might have like a sticking agent or something else. And I don't know how all those things react to pets. So, in general, you don't want to put pesticides where a pet goes. You know, at least if you do have a pet and you're going to spray it in your yard or something, a lot of these things have a residual time period before it really soaks into the plant. Sometimes it's 45 minutes, sometimes it's a day. You know, you just don't know. You have to actually read the label of each thing. Most of the stuff that you buy at Home Depot and Lowe's is pre-mixed, and it's such a low rate that you pretty much have to mess that up pretty good and like pour it right on your pet, or they eat the whole plant.
I have a very aggressive German Shepherd that eats everything.
Train it to eat webworms. You don't have to use the chemical.
Are any of the parks have birds, native birds that are attracted to birds in our area?
Say that one more time.
Are any of the parks you mentioned the butterflies, and I was wondering if there are any of the parks that attract birds, any native birds?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Community, definitely.
Independence
Where's
Park
Don?
is probably the coolest place to be in, like, I want to say probably mid-January to early March. That's
Which one did you say?
Independence Park.
Okay.
Huge open water area, very shallow. Our diving and wading birds love it. You'll see anything from pelicans and seagulls coming in from Galveston, but you also see like rosette spoonbills, scissor tails, all stuff coming down the flyway. That's a huge hot spot. Independence Park, yeah.
All right.
And one last question. Who's responsible for the color scheme? What plants go where? You, your department?
Me and my team.
Nursery doesn't help you out, just you?
Well, I mean, we're obviously limited about what's available, and especially years that are like after a freeze where nurseries get wiped out too, and everybody's trying to buy stuff.
Yeah.
Then our palette becomes very small. But on normal years, it's basically me and my guys.
You're doing a great job.
It's based on making mistakes. Really, you watch what dies and you don't make that mistake again.
Yeah.
New plants come out all the time, and sometimes they do great for a couple of years. Then you get your webworm or your scale, and then it's like, okay, just when I thought you get it down, the game changes. So
It looks great.
So I have just, I'm sorry, go on. Oh, go
One
on.
little question. What are they doing right now on Vicksburg Boulevard?
I don't know.
all-
That particular median over there is maintained by the HOA. So whatever they're doing landscape-wise, that's a HOA.
That landscape is looking, it's trenched all the way down.
I don't know. I haven't been down there in a while. I couldn't tell
Maybe
you.
some kind of public utility or something. So I have two comments for you. One, because in listening to you, we're going to do a massive, I've heard you say several times that, well, here's what they put in when they built it, but then here it is a year later, we've got to rip it out and we put it back in. And so what that tells me is when we do these projects, i.e. Stamo Park, do those plans come to you for you to take a look at to say, well, we like what you want to do, but here's what we want done? Because I don't want us to pay to put in a bunch of landscaping that here it is a year or two later, you pull it out.
Right.
And so I don't know if they're bringing it to you. If not, I want to make a suggestion that anything that we do in a park, that it at least gets a look-see by you to see how it's going to affect you from a maintenance. Because when it goes in and they dedicate it and we take possession, it's ours. And then a year later, you're ripping it back out. That doesn't make sense.
And it's not cheap.
Yes. Oh, I know it's not cheap. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the basic answer to that, Lawrence, is it depends on the project manager. Some have been basically stay out of my way. Some have been really hands-on and say, please review this stuff, add comments, go to these meetings. Danielle has been awesome about that. She's been getting me involved in these projects, and that makes the difference. Exactly like you say. If you ask me every time, I want to do the landscape. Every time, because no one's going to do it better than the people that maintain it, because we know what we're getting into. We know the climate, we know the ground, we know what it's going to take to finish it. Landscape architect might visit the site twice.
Yeah, that's right.
That's all.
Yeah.
So I will make that request, not only from the Parks Department, but then I'm going to go to my next part of it is from a public works side. And so maybe what we need to do in our design standards, because we have a design manual, and when we give a project to a consultant, we say, make sure you follow our guidelines. And so to me, what makes sense is that if we know what guidelines we need to add in there, when we go through it the first time, Mr. Consultant's going to say, well, here's what they want right here. And so that makes sense to me. It's just common, practical sense from my standpoint.
Sure.
So I'm asking the Parks Department, which I know Danielle, but I'm going to also go to Public Works and say, let's look at our design standards for landscaping in that part of the project manual. So that way we got some standards that make sense. Because I don't know if you ever had any input when they did the design manual update. Probably not, because you're not shaking your head, yes, I did.
Some of the development code, I added some tree stuff, like a list of species, the recommended spacing, say, from a stop sign or a power line, between sidewalk and curb, things like that, what things will work for an ideal world. But again, it comes down to the individual project managers. And Public Works acts as its own little universe as far as development. And
that's right. We'll work together.
Yeah.
That's right.
The information is all out there. It's the process that probably can be tweaked to get that information in the right hands.
And the other thing I want to compliment you on, the fact that you are going to Ross Cape, because for everyone's own knowledge, we pay for water. And when we're pulling water out of the ground, even the city, we got to pay that groundwater pumpage fee. And that fee is not small, and it doesn't go away, and it only gets worse. And so kudos to you all for coming up with some very, very decorative design and layouts and things that y'all done. So, again, thank you for that. And so with that, any other comments before we move on to the next item?
I'm just curious. I know in my subdivision, we will have a contract with the landscape, and the plants may die, and they have like a warranty, and they'll come back and replant those that have died. Do we have anything like that with the city?
Not with city purchasing, no.
Okay.
No, we don't get plant warranties. And in most cases, they die because some kind of a natural event, not really like lack of irrigation or anything like that. 'Cause we're pretty good at picking the right plants for that spot, but we can't stop cars from driving up onto medians and breaking things. We can't stop freezes and droughts.
Any plants that die because of whatever, they come back and we will replant.
And you want to keep
plants.
that contract.
Yeah, I know.
Because that's going to be rare.
Yeah.
That's going to be very rare.
We are the contract.
Paul, thank you very much. We appreciate
Thank you
it.
guys. I appreciate all
Excellent
your time.
job. Excellent job.
I'll see you
Love
next
seeing
week.
you. Come anytime. You're all right. Next update on parks operations. Barry submitted his. You have that information. Oh, Barry's good. They're all good. Okay, good. Any comments, questions? If not, we're going to go on to update on recreation. Danielle, you have the floor.
Right. Hello again. So last month I kind of gave you guys the overview of our mid-year numbers. So this time I did include April and May. As I said, we had to go back and backtrack on some reporting, which I completed, and it's in here. And then did want to highlight save the date July 4th. You guys will be receiving information on that soon. We'll have our VIP tent again, and it'll be a really good time. So for our kind of statistics-wise, facility usage is still skyrocketing right now in comparison to previous years. I think we've had at least 30 people in the rec center at all times since school let out. So that's good to see. And then April, income and revenue-wise, April was big for our summer camp registrations, and normally that's in May. So you'll kind of see that little bit of offset where we were slightly low in May, but we had a lot come in early in April this year, and so it was significantly higher then. And then I did just kind of include some little recap stuff. Pictures-wise, we ended up wrapping up our spring programs, had a lot of tennis and pickleball tournaments. Our youth dance recital was a huge hit, and then our Chalk Fest. Unfortunately, it was rained out on day 2, but day 1 was very well attended, and our artists were fantastic. We had the Monster Mural, which I love this picture because we anticipated the little kids being all over the Monster Mural, and I wasn't there, but Allison sent me a picture, and it's a whole bunch of people, probably, I would even venture to say 55 to 60 plus, all using the Monster Mural and just getting in there and coloring. So that was kind of cool. It really reminds you, what we do is for all ages, and kind of resets your mindset on why you're doing it. But that is the recreation report. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
All right. With that being said, we'll move on to the next one. Item 8, Director's Report. Ms. Danielle, come on down.
Get my separate notepad for this one. All right, so just a couple quick updates for you guys. Staffing, as we just introduced, Nicole and Javier. We have also extended an offer for our recreation superintendent position. Offer letter's not signed yet, so that's all I'll say at this point. We did a full assessment center for that position, and really came down to we couldn't go wrong either way. We had 2 great candidates. So hopefully we'll have somebody starting here in the next month to 6 weeks once they do all that paperwork side of things. We do have 2 light duty employees right now on parks, and 1 vacancy. So they're kind of struggling to keep up a little bit right now between the rain and the shortage of staff. We just learned that we're going to get Josh Williams, one of our technicians, back from Public Works. He was there for about a month and said, I miss parks, and requested to come back. So that's good to see. He's a very high motor guy, very driven, and so it'll be good to have him back. And then Paul has 1 vacancy in forestry. He will be starting in about 2 weeks, a week and a half now. So counting down the days, we are very close to being fully staffed, which is excellent. We also got word recently that we were selected. The National Recreation and Park Association is hosting their first ever Sustainability in Practice program, which they selected 10. So what the program is it's an educational type thing, and so it's 6 different sessions. And each session is 3 hours long, and it's teaching action plans, implementation, messaging, all regarding sustainability and recycling in your communities. I mean, it was open to municipalities and agencies who have a community-based organization partner. And luckily, we have Missouri City Green, and they were willing to kind of step up and go through this process with us. And so our department and Missouri City Green were selected for the first cohort. It was 10 different agencies and partners across the country. So we're very excited about that. We have a sustainability plan, we have a recycling plan, but we're just not that great at it. It's something that we kind of struggle with. And so this is going to be a really big help for our staff and our messaging and our reach into the community on that educational aspect. Current operations, I kind of mentioned it on the park side, but Paul covered his guys are going crazy out there on the medians trying to keep it's either raining or it's growing out of control, and that's for landscaping and grass and everything. And so between that, we also are dealing with some splash pad issues right now. You guys may have been made aware. Neither of our splash pads are operating right now. Ridgeview, both of them opened in time for Memorial Day as planned. We went through our 6-week preparation and maintenance. They were all working great for about 3 weeks leading up to it, and so we were like, man, we finally got this right. And then the Tuesday after Memorial Day, neither of them were working. So we are waiting for a part for the Hunter's Glen splash pad. It's an older unit. It's been there for 10 years, and so we had to do a special order on that. It's the activator button that turns it on, so it really doesn't work without it. And then for Ridgeview, I'm really not totally sure, I'll be honest. It might be a staff knowledge thing, it might be a system thing, but we cannot get the chemicals in line. And without the chemicals reading correctly, it's unsafe. And we're kind of at the point we'd rather take the heat of it not working than put somebody in danger. We've had Javier and our parks guys and contractors and all sorts of people out there taking a look. We have our a separate contractor meeting us out there in the morning, who thinks that the full system might need recalibrated. So they think they can do it if that's what's wrong. But we've been keeping everybody up to date on our Facebook, but we're working hard to get that working. I know it stinks, getting that new amenity that's so popular, and it's so hot right now, and the kids just got out of school and it's not working. And so we're doing everything we can. But if you haven't heard about it already, I'm kind of surprised. Most of our community is pretty upset about it. But one is just waiting on a part. The other one is a safety issue, and so we're just not willing to take that risk.
A question on that
yes,
one.
Sir.
So on the Ridgeview, it's recycled water?
Yes.
Okay. And then when do we think the part will come in on the Hunter's Glen?
We ordered it this week. They had a bunch of new reps, and so we got passed around through their tree of salesmen. It was placed on Wednesday, probably about a week. Maybe a week and a half. Being a holiday thrown in there and things like, Juneteenth's in 2 weeks, so we're okay.
That's what I'm asking.
I was thinking it was next week, but no, it's in 2 weeks, so we're hopeful. I really thought that it would be this Wednesday, because we figured out it's this part. We know what it is. We know how to replace it. But then they were like, we got to order it from the factory because we don't have these parts anymore. The system's older. So I'm hoping about a week, maybe a week and a half.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
It's peculiar to me that with Ridgeview being so new, that there's no manufacturer or installer's responsibility for this malfunction.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's one of those things that and we are reaching out to the corporate office of the manufacturer, because we're kind of even at the point where the installer is like, we've done everything that we know how to do. That and the fact that we're outside of 2 years now. So once, it's similar to, fridges and TVs and stuff like that. Once you hit that date, and they did come out, and they actually, before we opened, they came out and did a full 2-day training with our staff to teach us how to operate it, to teach us not just, hey, this is how you operate a splash pad, but hey, this is your splash pad. This is where things that you do. And so they're trying to be helpful. We're looking at once we identify what's actually causing it, then we will file that warranty claim. It's just tough to really know until we know what it is, because it's chemical levels, and we have an automated system, so it reads it and it flows either chlorine or acid, what it needs automatically. And it's not. When we test it, the levels say one thing, and it's telling us another, and it's weird.
It's a water plant. When you're recycling it, it's a water plant because it's coming into human contact, human consumption.
Oh, yeah.
And so
Yep.
The other one it's a little bit different.
Yeah, the other one is
recycling.
it's a pass-through system. I'm sorry?
Yeah, the other one's just a part.
Yes.
So normally when there's a warranty, there's a representative from the company who comes out to confirm that.
Correct.
So they're not sending anyone out?
They are. So part of it is that, so the features are, so like the slides and the structure is Landscape Structures, and our local rep is Lone Star Recreation. The components are a different company. The tank is a different company, and then your feeder system's a different company. So we will be able to go through that route, but at this point, we are going for it's actually the company that handles the Veterans Memorial for us. They're a pool and water feature company. They have certified pool operators on staff. It's what they do. They work with every type of system, and they know each of those manufacturing components. So they're going to come out, try to identify it, exactly where it is, and that way we can then work with that manufacturer. If it's, the electronic system, if it's the tanks, if it's the pumps, because right now it's one of those, well, we think it's that, and that's not ours, and we think it's this, and it could be genuine. I don't know. I'm not saying it's not, but until you actually identify what the issue is, we can't file anything. So,
is there any kind of way in the future you can get extended warranties on things like this? Yes. Okay.
And only install pass-through systems. Against Paul's recommendations about the water
Use
usage.
it for irrigation. I mean, the key element is put a holding tank and use it for irrigation.
There are options now for the pass-through systems that are then recycled into field irrigation systems, so that you're using or landscape irrigation systems and things like that. And you're adding another treatment and filtration system because it's getting treated with chemicals, and then you want to basically untreat it with chemicals so that you can then use it as irrigation. But yes, I am very for extended warranties, maintenance warranties, which is usually an extra step over just the components. It's the actual come out and fix it type warranty, whereas standard warranties are, send in that broken part, we'll send you a new one.
Yeah.
We just, at this point, we don't really have the number of staff to be continuously acquiring more and more things that we're going to need to maintain. So we're actually exploring a maintenance contract for the Ridgeview Splash Pad, so that we contract out, hey, go check it daily, hey, clean the skimmer baskets, hey, and putting that on an outside company that are professionals, and this is what they do.
Yes.
That's what most of we're in communication with the company that manages the Quail Valley East pools and the Meadow Creek pool and a couple others, because they're always sparkling and they're always open, and they're local. So we're supposed to be meeting with them next week in hopes of going in that direction.
Good.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Oh.
Sorry, and then just a couple quick updates. We started camps, and it is wild right now. Juneteenth is coming up, so that is a partnership or event with Missouri City and the Juneteenth Foundation. We are about 6 weeks away from becoming a Silver Sneakers certified facility, which yes. We are through the contracting phase. We're through, they have us on board. Now it's going to be, we need to figure out our reporting and our staff training. My goal is 4 weeks, but I'm going to publicly say 6 just to give us a little extra time just in case. And then we are going to be really pushing, I know Donnie had mentioned this about 6 months ago, but we're in budget season right now, and it's not looking like our special event budgets are going to be increasing. Yet the cost of everything is increasing.
Yes.
So we are really going to be pushing for and recruiting and seeking out sponsorships. So if you guys know of anybody, $500 up to thousands. We're going to really be, Allison has redesigned our sponsorship packet that has different levels, that has, naming rights and things like that for our events. And so we're going to be really pushing for that. We're a little late for July 4th, but for Snowfest, that's going to be a big thing for us so that we can continue to provide that level that the community has grown to know. All right. Oh, I have a remote. Sorry. All right. It's been a little bit since we did project updates on some of the bigger ones, so just wanted to run through these pretty quick. Freedom Tree Park, we are officially in permitting phase. So they have 100% plans have been submitted, and we are anticipating to go out to competitive bid this month. From there, we are likely looking at about 12 months from opening. Our target is to open in time for Juneteenth 2025. That is really pushing it, really pushing it, but it's possible. Bicentennial Park, our playground for that facility will be going in starting, or the old playground will be torn out starting June 15th, and they're anticipating about a month until the new playground is in and open. We'll then come in afterwards and add some new amenities, picnic tables, pavilion, solar lighting, and some other bike racks, water fountains, things like that. So that's pretty exciting. That one's moving. Ridgeview Park will follow shortly after Bicentennial, so they'll get Bicentennial started, and then 7 to 10 days later they'll go rotate over to Ridgeview. And then later this fall we will be doing the park pavilions and the walking trail. So we're redoing that as well. We're kind of piecemealing both of these projects instead of getting one contractor to do the whole thing. These are kind of smaller projects, so we're doing these ourselves. And then Stamo Sports Park, we are at 30% construction dock development. This project was run a little bit differently than most of ours. We did design development up to 100%, and now we're doing construction document develop up to 100%. And we did that because it's such a massive project. We wanted design control, and Public Works wanted control over the construction side. And so luckily Burdett, our design consultants for this one, they were fully on board. So right now it's kind of mostly with Public Works and engineering, so that they're doing that project. And then as they're, picking out actual elements, we will then step back in. But we took it through, and actually this was one of them that, Barry and Paul, they had to do like 6 reviews of these plans. I think he was actually kind of tired of me by that point. So that's pretty exciting. That one's moving along. We're anticipating bidding that one in September. And then the multi-year awaited project of our Parks and Facilities Maintenance Building is officially happening about 8 years later. Okay, 16 years later.
Fire station.
So we are, for those of you who aren't aware, our crews have been working right across Texas Parkway. There's an old building that looks like no one should probably go in it because it might fall on them. That's our home. We've got cats and rats and all sorts of stuff over there. We received the bids on that. We had 9 bids, so it was a very good response rate. And about half of them were within our budget. We're right now reviewing them and the references and things like that, but it is looking like we are going to be moving out immediately following 4th of July. So we're looking at rental spaces and things like that. So it's pretty exciting. My thing doesn't work. Sorry. All right, and then some non-bond projects that are moving along. The East Hampton Parkland that Paul mentioned earlier, this is the one we are doing the trail in conjunction with Public Works' street closure. This one has officially posted for bid, right?
Oh, they've received bids.
They've received bids. I knew you'd have a better update than me. I was told that our staff would be involved and they could manage this, and I said, thank you, I have all of these other ones. So that'll be done in conjunction with that. I did hear Public Works say that they're kind of anticipating it to at least start by the end of summer. So that's a pretty big project for them, and that's pretty quick. And then Hunter's Trail Park, we are doing a park entrance sign there. That will start this fall. Troxel Park, we are about 85% complete. We did have some delays, but we're back on track now. We're anticipating the ribbon cutting in September. They're probably going to be finishing up with the park in early to mid-July. But due to that heat and the nature of the park, we're going to let it sit there for a bit and establish. We want to make sure that, if if we put all this into it, we don't want a ribbon cutting and people walking on it, and we're going to resod it now. So that will allow us to, we're actually going to come in as well, and we're going to have the park entrance sign constructed prior to the ribbon cutting, so that because it's a different contractor, so that it's fully complete when we do the ribbon cutting. Randy's still going out there about every day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, every once in a while I just get a picture, hey, this looks cool, and I'm like, good. So, yeah, it's great. He loves it. And then the Revolution Way Parkland, this is actually Lexington Village neighborhood. It was dedicated as Revolution Way. It's on Independence, right across from the Pursue Your Passion statue, a couple blocks down from 1092. It's Independence right there, right? Yeah. So it's a development kind of right across from the elementary school. That's what this map is right here, just so for those of you who aren't familiar. That on the right side of the street is our parkland as well. That's where we have our public art sculpture. Directly across from that, where you can kind of see some trees in the northeast portion of that development. That land was dedicated to us. It's a tiny parcel, but there are no other developed public parks there, and so this board recommended to accept it. And in exchange, the developer is building some parking, and they will be paying for the playground. So we are doing a conceptual design so that they don't just plop our playground right in the middle of it. So we finished the contract up for that, and we'll begin working on it. And then Quail Green West, we are. This is going to kind of follow the rest of these. It might be one of the last ones that we do this fall. But we're replacing the roof on the basketball structure that's out there, sandblasting it, repainting it, making it kind of bright and colorful. We're going to go with bold colors, a pink one, a blue beam, things like that, so that it really draws that attention in. And then I am hoping to add a concrete border around that playground instead of the brick pavers, because people like to throw the pavers at the urinals, and we're on urinal number 6 in that park.
What?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I kind of just want to come in, dig it, trench it up, pour our border, and it's not exactly how you would typically pour the concrete border around a playground, but it meets all standards and qualifications, and so that way maybe they find something lighter weight to throw at the urinal. So that's all I got. It wasn't as short as I thought it would be. I apologize. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I have a question on the sponsorships. Is 501c designation if someone want to come in and be a sponsor? Do you have 501c designation?
Do they need to be, or is that what the question
is? If a sponsor come in, can they have a 501c designation on it?
Yes.
Writing a check.
Yeah.
So you're a 501c.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so typically, and for our smaller events, what we do, tricks and treats and things like that, we have a different rate, actually, for the booths for nonprofits. And so usually we'll do it that way. For some of these bigger events, the point's to get money, not to get them exposure. Sadly, sometimes that's how it is, but they are more than welcome to be sponsors, yes.
So Missouri City Green's going to be helping with summer camp one day, and Danny told us you have 81 campers.
Oh, wow.
It might be 120 by then.
She said it varies, and it could be more, so.
They have the activities already. Don't you, Diane?
I wanted to ask you on page 10, they have the Juneteenth celebration. What are we involved with that? The department doing the kickoff, the concert in the park?
Oh, yes.
What's
So
all
there
involved?
is.
That's all upcoming.
Yes. So as a departmentally, our role is logistics and setup, and then we host a movie in the park. Most of pretty much everything else is operated by the Juneteenth Foundation. It's a partnership with the city, but they have full control over it. So what I will do is I'll send you all the flyers, the timelines, things like that they have provided us. I can send all of that to you so that you have all of that information.
They utilize our communications, right?
Yes.
To get the word out.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's part of their contracted partnership agreement, is that they put the manpower in, they do all that, we do the prep, and then the cleanup and the marketing is pretty much the sum of that agreement.
All right.
And they
Yeah.
have flyers in the water bill right now. Water and trash bill. There's flyers in there.
Well,
That's from the Mud District, Blue Ridge.
Is that where it came
It's just
from?
Blue Ridge on that one.
Oh, okay.
really?
Yeah.
Blue Ridge Mud District does that?
Yeah, they put it in their water bill.
Why don't they have Quail Valley do it? Or
Because that Mud
Missouri
District
City?
would need, the Mud District would have to do that.
Who generates the material?
The Mud District.
With the dates, the program and everything is set.
Oh, no, the foundation would set all that material and create their flyer. And then what happens is, like for Blue Ridge, since the majority of it's going to happen in that park area, they just insert that flyer into their monthly bill.
Yeah.
So, but
I
if
just
the
got
Mud District was interested, who would they see? Because I'm on the Mud Board.
Okay. Well, I'll make sure
I don't know.
I'll make that person get in touch with you. I can promise you I can do it. I'm going to see y'all afterwards and get your mud numbers. I promise you. I know who you are. Any other questions or comments?
Good job.
All right. Thank you very much for your update. The next item, board reports. Any reports from any board members? All right.
I have one little thing I want to say.
Yes, ma'am.
I am so happy. Farmers Market Partners has been nominated as one of the favorite farmers markets in America.
All right.
I'll be sending-
Very good. Very good.
I'll be sending each of you all a link to vote for us.
There you go. There you go.
Our little park. Our little park. Our little farmers market.
Excellent. Congratulations. That's wonderful.
Excellent job. Items for next agenda. There will not be
July.
a July meeting because it's the 4th of July. But if there is something that requires action, we'll call a special meeting, and it would only be for that item, and it would be a parkland dedication.
Yeah.
But generally, we know kind of right now if there's going to be one, and we don't anticipate one. So other than that, feel free to come on out to the celebration out there. Are there any other items?
I have a question, and I thought we talked about this in our last meeting. Because are we going to be assigned parks?
So you get to pick, and you're going to send me your picks.
Oh, I need to send it to
You need to send it to me or Danielle.
Okay.
And we'll
I
work
will.
that out.
All right, I will.
Hey, Danielle, you know
And
mine.
everybody know where I'm at. You can find me at work.
Yes, we know.
All right.
Okay.
Any other items? If not, we're adjourned. They took my gavel.
Turn your mics off.
Yeah. Please make sure you turn your mic off for me, please.